What is going on, snipers? Naeem Al-Obeidi here. I hope all of you guys are having a wonderful day today. This is our first time live streaming on multiple different platforms, and I want to thank each and every one of you guys for allowing us to have this opportunity to get on multiple different platforms. For those of you that are Patreons, you guys were able to actually go ahead and allow us to actually upgrade our equipment, which has enabled us to get on all of these different platforms. So I do want to thank you for that. So I want to welcome all of you snipers here to our first live stream on multiple different platforms. What an exciting time here on Snipers Tube, guys. We're going to be diving into price predictions, taking user requests. We're going to be looking at different charts. As you guys can see here, we have our Bitcoin US dollar valuation chart here. You can see the slight correction that we're seeing here. Now finding that strong support here right around 9,571 US dollars. We're going to be looking at multiple different charts today, taking those requests. So let's go ahead and just dive right into it today. So currently looking at this chart here, if you guys are new to TradingView, the link is in the description below. If you're watching this on Twitter or if you're watching this on Twitch, you guys can also look in the description for your TradingView chart. We're going to be having an awesome night today. We're going to be doing a Ruby and above ICO mastermind night owl. This is something that the Rubies have requested, and that's something that we're going to start to actually implement into our Ruby and above night owls. That means we're going to get into the night owl and all talk about our favorite ICOs, talk about a little bit about what the ICOs bring to the table so that we can have a better understanding of what's happening. I actually just recently watched a video with the Binance CEO talking about how in the future he sees a future of ICOs with every company, with every individual, everything in the world is going to have their own tokenized fundraising asset. And I think that's an awesome feat, but it's also going to be a challenge for those of you investing because it's going to be a lot tougher to find out which projects are good or not. So if you guys are new to TradingView, we're going to be inserting a couple different indicators here utilizing our volume, our 3 moving averages, our relative strength index, our moving average exponential or the EMA alongside with the MACD. There's also this new indicator that I actually found today called the Kujira Cloud V3 crypto indicator. I'm not going to tell most of you guys what that is just yet, but I'm going to just tell you it's a pretty awesome indicator. But we're going to utilize these these primary indicators here that can give us a little bit of an understanding of where prices are headed. I went ahead and cleared up my Bitcoin chart. I actually have another chart here if you guys have seen it, where we actually have everything pretty much already drawn out. I'll show you that chart a little bit later. But looking at what we're seeing right now, you can see we're still following this flag here. Obviously that flag was broken as we never ended up finding that breakout with that last wave. You can see, if you guys know what a flag looks like, you can actually go on our Discord. This is a free resource open and available to all of you guys. And if you go to our Trading 101, you can see exactly how this flag is formed, where you have these descending support and resistance levels that actually end up kind of going horizontal, forming that rectangle. The difference between a falling wedge, by the way, and a flag is the falling wedge converges with the resistance and support levels, whereas the flag itself forms a rectangle, and that's really where you start to see that breakouts when it hits that resistance at the top of the rectangle with that third and final wave, then goes halfway down, doesn't touch support and breaks out. But Bitcoin obviously didn't follow that. You can see the waves kind of started here right around these all-time highs when we saw this low. So if we were to go ahead and draw this out here, you can see pretty much started right here where we had that first wave come in, a second wave really ended right there, third right there, fourth right there, and then the fifth was expected to come right up there, but that never ended up happening. Now what could certainly happen is we could have overstretched that right over here, which I think is exactly what's happening and forming here with Bitcoin, being the fact that we're following this downward rectangle or a flag. So in my opinion, if we were to actually draw out price levels here, I would actually go ahead and open up this price range here. I say that based on this 200-day moving average, which doesn't look so fond right here in this chart. Let's pull up the 1 day. So you can see in the 1 day chart, you have this 200-day moving average, and that's really where we saw that bounce. And now we're seeing it pretty much in this middle zone. I would say anywhere between here and this 200-day is pretty much the best buying point here for Bitcoin, being the fact that if it does touch that 200-day, it's most likely going to see some very strong support levels along that 200-day moving average. So if I were to actually take some text, I would actually draw it out like this, and I would put the buy zone actually right there along that 200-day moving average, being the fact that 200-day moving average is a pretty strong support level. Now, what is going on here with TradingView? This thing is looking a little messy today. So if we go here, we'll type this in as the buy zone. And the reason I say that is, once again, if we see support down here, prices are most likely going to see a reversal. People don't realize that descending support levels are typically an indicator of an ascending or a bullish flag. So you can see descending support, positive breakout, positive breakout. There's two types of patterns. There's breakout patterns, reversal patterns. There's some other patterns that are a little bit more complex and intricate, but we're not really going to get into those. For the beginners, there's two patterns. Beginners, breakout, reversals. And you can see descending support levels are actually a good thing. Ascending support levels are sometimes a bad thing. So you can see this is an ascending support level. You can see the reversal trend here. So just to keep that in mind, I would say this is probably the best buy zone right now for Bitcoin, for those of you looking to get a good position. And as a trader, you guys have to understand that you want to buy in the red, sell in the green. That's something that I've always talked about throughout my history trading, and something that my mentor taught me very early on. I started with $100, and I took probably about 3 months to turn that into $200, and literally the next month, probably less than a month, probably in a week, I lost the whole $100 profit that I had earned myself, being the fact that I didn't understand buy red, sell green. I was still an emotional, sporadic trader, and this was very early in traditional markets where I really gained my experience. And one thing I can tell you guys just now coming into this market is make sure that you guys are aware of the psychological aspects of this market. There's a book on our Discord if you guys are on this free resource, and this book is actually called Trading Psychology. I highly recommend it for all of you guys trying to understand the psychology behind trading, understanding risk and reward. That's really what technical analysis is all about. Technical analysis is a historical pattern of risk and reward within the human psychology that enables humans to act a certain way. Now, technical analysis doesn't work when an institution puts a sell order of $5 million and then wipes out the order books. And at that point, there's no risk and reward psychological aspects to the trade. I mean, it's just a market manipulation. So, there's actually an article that I saw today which was interesting. We'll have to talk about that in a sec. But we did just get a $5 super chat. I do want to give a shout out to whoever went ahead and did that. David Cohan said, what do you feel about doing earlier streams sometimes? Oh man, Daniel, I am definitely going to be doing earlier streams, brother. I actually am working on some very big projects here upcoming for Sniper's Tube. And because of that, I've really been extremely busy in the daytime. So I'm trying my best to get these out there. But at the end of the day, I mean, I can't really, to be honest with you, I can't appease everyone. I get hundreds of text messages, hundreds of messages on Twitter, hundreds of messages on Facebook, and people are like, hey, can you do the stream at this time? Can you start at this time? What time are you starting? I can't be stretched multiple different places. My mentor taught me this one time. He said, Naeem, there's going to be a time and place where you can't get on anybody else's schedule but your own. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, where I need to stay on my own schedule to make sure that I can bring you guys the best educational resources, because that's really what I think this channel is built on, right? And now we're streaming on 4 different platforms. So look at that. I mean, we're definitely advancing here. We're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, and we're on Facebook live right now. I mean, isn't that awesome? That's the first time that we've had the ability to really get on all of these different platforms at the same exact time. So it's pretty exciting and pretty stout in my opinion, being the fact that now you guys can be on your phone on Twitter watching these live streams. So it's definitely going to be a fun time here. Somebody just said, let's see here, super chat once again. They said, coinable, adding a coin. What does that mean? Somebody says, hey buddy, off the Discord. This time is perfect, bro. I'm on the West Coast and 11:30 for me is awesome. Somebody said, hey Naeem, what's happening with XLM? Would love your view. Good question, Roger. Let's pull up XLM BTC. So XLM initially was forming this handle, and you can see it's going exactly how we expected it to. So if you guys are getting our Patreon trade alerts, by the way, we are doing a Ruby and Above Night Owl today called ICO Mastermind. And it's something that a lot of people have requested, and I just can't do this in a public chat because our voice chat has over 100 people in it. You guys can see here, 99 plus people in it. It's hard to really get in this and really have a productive conversation. So tonight's going to be a Ruby and Above Night Owl under Patreon exclusive, under Ruby Plus. If you guys want to get on our Discord, the link is in the description below. We're going to be talking about ICOs, and we're all going to share our opinion on our favorite ICOs, talking about the developers, talking about the quarterback of the ICO, of course, and then talking about the technicals and the fundamentals and where they're possibly headed in the next couple of years, because we're not going to be looking at the short term tonight. We're going to be looking at the long term. We're going to be looking at long-term holds, long-term projects, because I just came from a conference with the co-founder of Monero and the chairman of Kodak, and I'm going to tell you this right now. They're looking at the long term. They're not looking at the short term. They weren't even phased by this market correction, and that's something that really enabled me to get, you know, a perspective that was a little bit dull at first, but now it's extremely clear. And that perspective was the fact that this is something for the long haul. This isn't something for the short term. You know, being in this market, you have to be vested in it. You have to be, you have to believe in it, quite frankly. So, but yeah, so we posted our XLM trade, and let me pull it up here. So for those of you getting our trading alerts on Patreon, this is actually for all golds and above. We posted the XLM trading alert recently. So by the way, this is a good opportunity to teach some of you guys. So a lot of you guys are like, hey, how do I get the trading alerts? You have to go click trade alerts here on the Patreon website, and then once you click that, all of these will post. Oh man, you're gonna see all my trading alerts that I just posted today. That's fine, I don't mind it. So if you look at XLM though, we posted this recently, and you guys see that it was a cup and handle that we actually predicted, and it's going exactly as we expected, which, you know, I expected because I drew out the analysis. So you can see we had this initial breakout, we had the consolidation. If you guys don't know what a cup and handle looks like, if you go on our Trading 101 on our Discord, you just pretty much open up cup and handle. Let me clean my eyes here. So the cup and handle starts with initial breakout where you find that resistance, which is called the top of the cup, and then you see that base form with this initial downward cup, and then you see that breakout level happen right here where the handle forms, and then that breakout right on top after those 3 waves. And you can see it's exactly what we're seeing here, where we had this initial breakout consolidation, the cup formed, we had that breakout up, and then the prediction was it would bounce here, drop down, buy zone, go back up. Guess what happened? Went up, bounced off, down, handle formed, buy zone, went back up. So exactly what we expected is occurring right here. So the cup base, you've got the cup with the initial breakout, you've got the handle right here. Somebody asked me, they said, well, is that handle, it doesn't look like this went all the way up to here. Well, if you guys know how cup and handle look, it's fine to have a slanted handle. So some people don't understand how the cup and handle is formed, but I guarantee you, if you type in cup and handle on Google and you type in pattern, I guarantee you there's going to be a slanted handle here somewhere. Watch this. So look at that. You can see slanted handle, completely fine. Look at that slanted handle. So the slanted handle is completely reasonable for a cup and handle. We haven't talked about inverse cup and handles yet. I haven't even shown that. So look at that slanted handle. So slanted is fine. And then you can see here, found our support. Handle was formed. We saw that initial breakout. If you didn't buy, whoopsie woo. So you could even sell right now at a profit if you guys played this correctly. Exciting to see this happen. So it is initially going to have a little bit of bounce back, but for the most part, I still am expecting some sort of bull run and possibly some new all-time highs here for XLM BTC, baby. So let's check our Periscope. Nick Kaufman said, joined. Good to have you, Nick. You were like the first comment. We don't got any Twitch commenters. Look at that. It's all YouTube. James Indus said joined. Nice. Keith Q-Tipper said, this is cool live on Twitter. What do you think about Ethos? We'll take Keith Q-Tipper's question from Twitter. He said, what do you think about Ethos? Ethos. Why don't we do Ethereum? How about that? Since it's right here in front of us. So Ethereum, you can see Ethereum's BTC Satoshi chart here. We're having that little breakout here. Saw a little bit of that curve form here, that bull flag. This is a bull flag, by the way, for those of you that don't know what this right here is. And there was actually a trading alert that we posted today of another bull flag. What was that noise? Oh my gosh, that was pretty cool. Wow, this is interesting. This is new software, guys. First time we're streaming multi-platform here tonight. So pulling up this 1 hour chart, let's go ahead and see a little bit of a closer viewpoint of what Ethereum is looking at. It doesn't look too good. Let's pull up the 6 hour here. Not enough volatility there. A little bit less, but better than before. Looking at what's happening here, it's really on an upward trend. I mean, if we were to draw some waves here, I'm sure we can find a couple waves. I'm not necessarily going to start teaching waves just yet, being the fact that, you guys know how I like to introduce new indicators. You know, for those of you that don't know how these indicators work, we have the 3 moving averages here. This is the 50-day in red. We have the green, which is the 100-day, and this blue is the 200-day moving average. So if you guys want to insert these, you just right-click Insert Indicator. This is our trading view chart, and then you can literally click Fundamentals and type in 3 moving averages. And then this is what I'm using. So this is the 3 moving averages. Very important to really find different support and resistance lines, and knowing if a coin is in a good position for an entry. You can see if it's under the moving average, it's typically a good time to enter. And then you can see in some cases we will bounce off these moving averages. So you can see we bounced off of this 50-day. We just stayed on top. So the 50-day moving average is very important. You can see we bounced here. As soon as you broke this 50, you probably could have assumed that it was going to start going lower. So 50-day moving average is important for those of you that understand these indicators. So you can see even here when we had this huge run up, we had this consolidation and we bounced on that 50-day. So 50-day moving average is important. We got the EMA back here in this light blue. This EMA is a momentum indicator. It stands for the exponential moving average. And you can pretty much see anytime this starts to point. I like to look at the EMA like a pointer. So you're looking at the EMA, draw a little pointer at the end of it. What is that little noise? So you can see here, you can draw this like an arrow, and that's kind of like how I like to utilize that EMA exponential moving average. Kind of shows you where the direction is headed. And talking about direction, the MACD, which is down here, there's 2 different lines that the MACD utilizes. You've got the fast line in blue and the slow line in orange. Anytime you see these cross, typically means that prices just swung. But understand with the MACD, there's going to be a slight delay. So you can see this is where the prices ended up swinging. You can see the MACD was still far apart when it swung, and then it ended up crossing right over here when that little swing was over. And then you can see that continued the pattern. Now it started to swing back. So the MACD is an important indicator, knowing where your entry and exit points are and knowing whether or not a coin is in a potential swing zone. You can see the RSI right on top, very good indicator. If it's over 70, it's overbought. If it's under 30, it's oversold. Anytime it's over 70, it's a good chance that prices are most likely going to drop. You're going to see here, when we peaked out on this price, look at this, RSI was up. So if you were just trading this as a swing trader, let's say you had this 4-hour pulled up here, and you were trading this as a swing, you could have easily assumed all of these swings here. Bam, right here, you could have told yourself, all right, RSI is pretty high, let me sell. And guess what? RSI would have went down. Let's say you told yourself, I'm going to buy when the RSI hits under 30. Look at that. RSI hit under 30. You could have bought right there. And let's see how that trade would have went out for you. Not too good because it was on a downward trend. Well, I wouldn't have done that anyways because check this out. The 50-day moving average was already broken there. So that's what it means by being dynamic. But check this out. There will be a good scenario here. So you can see here prices drop. If we were to open this up a little bit, you can see that volatility, prices dropped. Bam, RSI bought here because it went under 30, and guess what? Profit. Bam. This is where it touched over 70. So this is a perfect RSI indicator play here, right? So buy under 30 because that's the bottom, and then just tell yourself anytime it hits over 70, I'm going to sell. So it would have hit over 70 here. So if you just played this on the RSI, guess what? You would have bought here. You would have sold right up here. So that was, let's see, from 4.5 million Satoshis to 6.4 million Satoshis. Like that, 2 million Satoshi gain right there just by using RSI. So that's a little quick RSI tutorial for those of you new to trading. Hopefully it made some sense. And let's take some user questions here. Let's see. Alicia Kin just joined the live stream from Twitter. Good to have you, Alicia. Do we have any Twitch comments? No Twitch comments so far. We do. MC3D says ETN forming cup and handle. Interesting. ETN, Electronium, one of my favorites. We're actually going to be doing our ICO mastermind tonight, and Electronium may be the coin that I want to talk about because you guys know how much I'm fond of that coin. I got in early, but it's definitely a coin that I've enjoyed. We have a $10 super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go ahead and check that out. Let's see what it has. Can you review Lend? Scott Renfro. Yes, Scott, for sure, man. I saw you on the Patreon the other day, bro. Thank you for being a loyal supporter here at Snipers Tube, man. That really means a lot. you're helping us with our projects, man. We got tons of stuff in the works. Just got off the phone with one of our Diamond Patreons today. We're working on this project together, and can't release it now, but it's gonna help a lot of you guys. I'll tell you that right now. That's for sure. So that's just some food for thought. So let's go ahead and check out right here what we've got going on with Lend, and then let's go ahead and get a quick update here on what's happening with our chart. Perfect. Awesome. So looking at Lend, it looks like there's a clear descending triangle here. However, this is slightly ascending in some form, but you can see ascending triangle forming in the short term here in the 1 day. It doesn't look like I see a possible trend reversal just yet. Looking at this chart here, there's no 50-day moving average. RSI is still midway. It looks like it's starting to see a little bit of a bounce. Now, this did see a strong bounce here. Here's what I'll say. This is a pretty easy play for me. If I were you, I'd set up a stop loss alert, not a stop loss order, especially in a market like what we're seeing today, where we're not necessarily like really dropping parabolically or dramatically yet. You can see with the market, you got, you know, fairly good pricing, but if we pull up the BTC value, you can see how this looks. A little bit better in my opinion, a little bit more green, a little bit less in percentages with the negatives. In my opinion, when the market's pretty good like that, it's pretty safe to set up these stop losses at specific areas where you know there's strong support. So it looks like we're finding some strong support right around 1,264 Satoshis. Just to keep this simple, I would say set up a stop loss here if you're going to sell. I don't necessarily see a potential for a breakout just yet. However, it looks like prices are starting to simmer down. Now, as these prices start to simmer down, you can see we can even draw out some more channels that are forming here, because we are finding a little bit of resistance here right around 1,734 Satoshis. So if it continues to follow this channel, you can trade within the channel. And if it breaks out of this triangle positive, that could be a possible trend reversal. What I would be looking for at this point is some sort of positive sign of a breakout, or at least a sign of a bottom. And you can see with the RSI, that's definitely not showing. When we pull up the 4 hour, a little bit of a different type of chart here. So you can see you can even drop these levels here. We'll actually make this a little bit simpler and draw this with these two lines here, so you can see this channel that's forming. Now this channel right here is pretty horizontal. That means you want it to mature a little bit. Now I do want you to see this though. You have these rising support levels. So this rising support level could be an indicator of a possible bull trend starting to form. Now if this goes below this support line, then that would break. So I would watch this here on the 4 hour. See, is this going to go below where it started forming that trend line? So that's what I would watch for right now, being the fact that it looks like resistance levels in the short term are starting to go up. So I would watch this trend here, see how this forms out. If this can form a tighter channel up here, that would be a pretty bullish sign that we may potentially see a breakout and test these resistance levels here on 2,275 Satoshis, being that we found some strong resistance here. And then the RSI peaked out here around over 70. So this looks like the top. So if we can go past this, that would be good. And that could be a potential sign of new highs. However, at this point, it doesn't look like I see anything bullish other than the fact that you have these ascending support levels within the minor channel. So within the overall channel, it's pretty stable. But within this minor channel, you can see there is that ascent. Somebody says, Naeem just got in. Love the channel, bro. Thank you, Joshua Stephen Ward. That's a pretty long name. So hopefully that helped out. Scott, good to have you on the stream, brother. Somebody says, Naeem just got in. Good to have you. Somebody says, vibe, 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 vibe. Somebody says, the game zombie. What are your thoughts on Verge? Somebody says, can't see anything. What do you mean you can't see anything? Somebody says, joined. Somebody said, Gene Duchamp, keep going, man. You're the best. Thank you, brother. Somebody said, dude, just do your research. Google the companies and announcements Sun makes and see who's on the boards and backing those things. So about Tron, people are saying, well, what is going on with Tron, right? Some people are saying that it's going to go down. Some people are saying that, like, who's the CEO, right? Somebody on our Patreon today was like, you know, do you believe in this quarterback? Because we were talking about looking at quarterbacks, right? I just came from this conference and they had a whole panel, and it was right before the co-founder of Monero got on stage, and they were talking about how you have to focus on the founder, right? Focus on the quarterback, because the quarterback can get tackled. However, he can get back up and still hit that end zone as long as he's driven to do it, right? As long as he's confident enough to go to that end zone and make the play. So you're looking at quarterbacks when you're looking at these ICOs. Don't look at just the technology, because you can look at almost 100 white papers, and for the most part, 50% of them have the same idea, and then the other 50% that are split up are just ideas that most likely won't be implemented for the next 5 to 10 years. And by that point, you might have quantum computing blockchain technology rather than just a blockchain, right? Not saying that that's possible. Obviously, you got the SHA-256 limit right now for the codec, but potentially could, you know, improve from there. However, at the end of the day, you have to tell yourself that technology can easily change 5 years from now. So you're looking for what can be adopted in the next 2 to 3 years. That's something they also talked about on the panel, right? Looking long term, but also understanding that in the next 2 to 3 years, there are going to be projects that are going to be prominent more than other projects, right? Like looking at the top 100 today versus what it's going to look like a year from now, I bet you it's going to be a completely different ball game. So somebody says TRX won't get deep. So TRX Justin Sun, I'm going to tell you this guy's got a strong ego, and I don't think he's going to want to jeopardize his ego. Actually, somebody was talking about it today with me. One of our moderators, his name is EQ. If you guys are on our Discord, you guys know our boy EQ here, right? EQ. You guys know Jeff, right? Who here knows Jeff? Shout out to Jeff. Let's see what everybody has to say here. Shout out to Jeff. Somebody says, hodl, wait for the market to go up. Who knows about Jeff, though? Let's talk about Jeff. But Jeff put it really good. He said, Justin Sun has an ego. He's not going to be, you know, he's not going to want a bad reputation. And he's going to make sure that his coin succeeds in some way, shape, or form. Whether or not it's just a hype or marketing, he's going to make sure something happens to it, right? So let's pull up the TRX chart while we're talking about it. Might as well, because this was actually one of the trade alerts that I posted today for a potential breakout, and I'll tell you exactly why. Looking at Tron's chart, actually, I can pull up the actual chart that I posted for the Patreons that are getting the trade alerts. So this is actually the actual chart here, the TRX BTC chart here. Oh, well, that's not looking good. Where's it at? Let's pull up the Binance version. There you go. So there's that possible cup and handle forming here. Now, here's what I'll tell you. With Justin Sun, in my opinion, if you guys were in our night owl recently, we had an open night owl. This wasn't a Ruby above night owl. We had an open night owl. We had a guy from China actually in our night owl, and he says that Justin Sun's perception in China is almost like the perception of Mark Zuckerberg in the United States as this young, successful, ingenious entrepreneur. And that's what people think of him like in China. And I'm sure there might be some differentiating opinions, but that was just one person's opinion that was in our night owl from China, right? So that's an actual source from China of somebody that has real life influences in that demographic and in that geographic location. So, you know, I remember when Justin Sun, do you guys remember when he went on Twitter and he was talking about, you know, all the stuff that he was talking about, you know, but people were making fun of him because he just wasn't speaking the best English. Well, I'll tell you this right now. In the Chinese's eyes, individuals and families that don't even know English in China are looking up to Justin when he does something like that. Like, they don't care if he says the word right or has an accent. They're looking at him like, holy crap, this guy's a Chinese entrepreneur. He's super young. He's made, you know, a huge impact already in China. Obviously, I mean, he's done a lot. And this guy's communicating with the world right now and the greatest country on earth. Sorry if you're not from the United States. It's the greatest country on earth, right? So, you know, that right there for me, it's a stout perspective from you know, the Chinese end, and you know, that's a powerful economy. That's a powerful place. My friend Yazan just had an ICO raised $6 million with VCs, and then over 10 million with ICO investors. So not much, but you don't need more than 10 or 20 million dollars for an ICO, by the way. I was watching a Binance, the Binance CEO talking about ICOs. Over 5,000 are listed right now on Binance. And within those 5,000 ICOs, number one, by the way, food for thought, he says if any ICO claims a release date on Binance, they're already lying to you, because we don't ever have a release date for any ICOs or any coins. We do it randomly. So the same way they open up the registrations for 2 to 3 hours a day randomly, and at one point they had over 300,000 registrations in 3 hours, is the same way they release these ICOs. So he also said that the majority of ICOs that raise over 100 to 200 million dollars, those ICOs don't even know what to do with that capital. And what ends up happening is once they're listed and they're overinflated already, they get on Binance, they're listed, and they automatically drop, right? So he says the ideal area for an ICO to be in terms of funds raised is pretty much around the 10 to 20 trillion dollar market cap. That's really the ideal area for an ICO to be at. So $10 trillion is typically an ICO that will come on the exchange. If it's a good idea, if it has a good team behind it, it typically will see some sort of, attention, at least in the minute perspective, and that attention eventually grows and grows and grows. And then you have ICOs like Dragon Chain that has done very well. I mean, if you guys know about Dragon Chain, check this out. I was looking at Dragon Chain because we were talking about it in our Ruby and Above Night Owl the other night. And I mean, just looking at the coin market cap graph, you can see it's had gradual growth. It doesn't look like XVG, right? If you look at XVG, look at XVG. You see this parabolic run up, right? You don't see that with Dragon Chain, right? And it's interesting because Dragon Chain came out, and you can see how it came out on the exchange, and you can see how it just market cap was right around 50-ish million dollars. I said trillion dollars. By the way, the internet bubble, people are like, oh, we're in a bubble, and the bubble has just popped. Well, guess what? If you guys know how the internet bubble looked, I know I'm jumping around, but let me show you something really quick. If you guys know how the internet bubble was created, the internet bubble was a $3 trillion bubble at the time, right? And this is something I touched on the other day. This was a $3 trillion bubble, right? And in today's inflationary valuations, this is probably over 10 trillion. And it took about 3 years, from 96 over all the way to 99, 2000, to really see that pop. So 3 to 4 years. The real run-up really happened within that 2-year time frame. And when that occurred, this bubble popped very, I mean, it was huge. It was a huge bubble when it popped. Cryptocurrency is less than $1 trillion, right? So if this was over 10 trillion in inflationary valuations, we're nowhere near the .com bubble, right? So we could have only have seen this correction so far. You see how there's always corrections along the way? Correction, 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 correction. This was a major correction. You can see this correction went under this correction. This is way over 50%. So you guys are freaking out with this correction. Guess what? I came from traditional markets. I'll tell you this right now. I liquidated all of my assets around 2014 when I saw the opportunity in cryptocurrency. And let me show you the NASDAQ really quick. So this is the actual bubble. If you guys want to see the real bubble. So this is a 1-week graph. This is 08. You can easily spot it on the graph. By the way, this is 2000. The 08 bubble is right here. Look at the difference between the 2008 bubble right here in light blue versus the .com bubble. That's why you hear, for those of you that weren't around, a lot of you were around, a lot of you guys, your kids were around, right? But for those of you that weren't around, this is how big that bubble was, right, compared to the markets right now. But guess what? If you would have bought at the peak of the bubble, if you would have bought Facebook at the peak of this bubble right here, guess what? You'd still be at a profit today. Not only that, some people say technical analysis doesn't work. Well, guess what? Why did we find resistance here and go horizontal out of nowhere, the exact place where we saw a peak in this bubble? Because it's psychological. People are so delusional, I think. Like, they almost put themselves in this like box, and they're like, no, it doesn't make sense. Technical analysis doesn't work. It's like, dude, shut your mouth. Technical analysis is psychological analysis. It's a pattern of risk and reward, and it's how humans react to risk and reward. That's how technical analysis is created. That's how cup and handles are formed, right? If this happens, then this typically happens. That's technical analysis, right? If this happens, this typically happens. Why does this typically happen? Because humans are predictable. Psychological predictions. I mean, think about magicians, right? Magicians 99% of the time will fool you. Like, they will do their trick and you'll have no idea how they did their trick, right? Because they know how you're going to react. Because everybody's going to react that way. That's why, you know, if you want to get into one of my mentors, my first mentor, James Tate, he was very big in teaching me psychology. And he also taught me how to spot people that want to manipulate you, right? Manipulation is this huge topic, and manipulators will, and manipulation isn't a bad thing if you use it in the right way, but, and this is a deep topic, but there is a form of good and bad manipulation, and bad manipulation and good manipulation are pretty much done the same way, where you do something to make an individual feel a certain way for them to react in that specific way, right? So it's the same thing in the market. The market acts a certain way, and that is a predictable reaction from people, right? So anyways, I don't want to get too deep into that because we're talking about trades. I don't know if you guys even like that. But yes, so the internet bubble, way bigger than what we're seeing right now. You look at the NASDAQ, you see how the bubble really impacted the market, and it was substantial. But look at this. On the way up, we had tons of corrections. Look at all these corrections on the way up. And some of you guys are like, oh, these are all minor corrections. No, they're not. Look at this correction right here. We went from, let's say, what, 453 down to 290. 453 to 290, right? And there were tons of corrections along the way, right? Now we're getting into, now this is obviously not part of the dot-com bubble. We're just going through the market in general. Ray Dalio says this in his book Principles. If you guys know who Ray Dalio is, runs one of the largest hedge funds in the United States, over $175 billion in assets, managed assets, and he says every 7 to 10 years we'll see a correction. So if you guys want to kind of put that into perspective, this correction occurred right here, 2000, right? This is 2000. He says every 7 to 10 years. So let's put his philosophy to the test. So that's 2000. So let's go to 2010, right? And see within that 10-year time frame, was there a correction? So here's 2010 right here. Bam. He said every 7 to 10 years in his book. Bam. Do you see a correction? Yes. Oh, wait. Look at that. Every 7 to 10 years. Guess what? We've been in a 9-year bull market. So this is 2010. Well, guess what? 2020. And this is obviously, you know, by the way, Ray Dalio predicted the 08 crisis. He also predicted the European crisis in 09 and 10. So guess what? We're heading towards that level. Where are people going to look to hedge their funds at? Here's where I think they're going to be hedging their funds at. Definitely not Tron, but Bitcoin, possibility. Let's go back to Tron's chart anyways. Hopefully that taught some of you guys something. Somebody says, if the stock market makes a correction, what will happen in the crypto market? Patman, I think more money will come towards the crypto market and people will use it as a hedge, because in 08, there wasn't a crypto market to use as a hedge. Well, kind of. Bitcoin was created in 08 by Satoshi Nakamoto because of the crisis, and that was in Japan. But it wasn't what it is now. It's needed time to really percolate and become what it's become now. So talk about percolation. I was percolating some coffee today. Anybody here, the younger generation won't remember this, but any of you guys remember the song The Percolator? It's time for the percolator. It's time for the percolator. Let's see if we got any Twitchers here. Let's see if we got any Twitch chats. JMA 1087 on Twitch. L2 Crypto, half a sing on Twitch. L2 Crypto says, man, I could be making loot if I start a Patreon. Somebody said, well, you better have something that you're offering, brother. Something that has a cost towards it. Somebody says, I sing. T1EN in the house. Some EOS says, shut your mouth if you don't think it's not psychological. Exactly. You're right. It's psychological. Half Usin said, if you read this, I'll become a Patreon. Hey, man, Patreon is for those of you that want trade alerts. By the way, tonight we're going to be having a Ruby and Above night out. It's going to be an ICO mastermind. So what that means is we're going to be heading over to our Discord. If you guys are on our Discord, by the way, we just hit over 23,000 members on Discord. So shout out to the community. 23,000 plus members on our Discord. But if you go on our Discord, we're going to be under Patreon exclusive Ruby and Above. We're going to be doing an ICO mastermind, talking about ICO long-term holds in the future. What are the best ICOs? If you guys are Rubies and you don't make it, I know it's a little bit late, we will send you guys a recording of that, like we always do on our podcast through Patreon. So if you guys are on voice channels, though, if you guys are not Rubies, you guys can just come into this voice channel. People are always here talking about different trades. You can see.
That's like passionate, man.
That is so passionate. If I could throw Big Grail out of fucking the window.
Oh, okay. Nope. There you go. Profanity. Sorry about the profanity, guys. But anyways, hopefully you're fine with that if you're on those voice chats. You can't control that, right? Imagine having an automatic profanity ban bug, or like a bot that just banned people that said that. Somebody like, what the banned, user banned, what the user banned. That would be awesome. There would have to be like if as a coder you'd have to have a delay, right? You just delay the audio and then allow the system to voice, implement the voice recognition, and you could definitely implement that. That would be hilarious, man. This is banned. Somebody says Frank McLovin, bro, Naeem, you are opening up my mind. I understand you are an excellent teacher. Thank you, bro. Somebody says, shut off the loud notification. Yes, I will shut that off. I do apologize. I don't know why that's going off. I need to shut that off. I'll probably have to do it the next stream. This is our first time live streaming on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube all together. And that's because of you guys. Thank you guys for all the Patreons that have allowed us to really get all of this, server stuff implemented, all the equipment implemented to be able to efficiently live stream like this. That really does mean a lot. So let's take some requests here. Let's take some user requests. Let's go ahead and look at some requests here. Coila said I'm muted. Common Insider said or up. Tron going down or up? Tron, oh, sorry, we didn't do our Tron analysis. So Tron, looking at Tron, it's forming a potential cup and handle. It looks like we just hit the middle of the cup. It looks like we're about to start to see some green, and I'm expecting to see some green here, pretty much forming like this, and that's why this third wave is drawn out, and that would complete this cup. It doesn't look like it here, but if you pull up the 3 hour, you can see there's definitely a cup and handle forming, right? You've got this initial breakout, and then you've got this starting to form. If you guys don't know how the cup and handle looks, it's a breakout pattern. So on our Discord, wow, we got tons of new users. Look at that. That is awesome. If you go to Trading 101, go to cup and handle here on our Discord. This is a free resource, by the way, available to all of you guys. I highly recommend getting on this. If you don't, you're stubborn and you're going to be lonely in the crypto market, because there's really no solid community out there right now, in my opinion, other than this one. And there are a couple others, I think, but not as good as what we've got going on. And not to be pompous here, but that's the truth. I mean, you come in here, you got over 100 people here chatting and talking about different coins. You can come in there and just listen, and you don't even have to have a mic. You guys can talk about day trades, breakouts, questions, mining, main chat, news, swing trading, software development. I mean, you got every coin here. Look at that. Vibe, ICX, EOS, Electronium, and you can just get, by the way, if you want to be successful in this market, you better be good at getting information before the news. Because if you don't, just to be honest with you, you're gonna miss out on a lot of potential breakouts. Because write this down if you're writing notes: buy the hype, sell the news. That's an age-old principle. I mean, we used to say that in the stock market when I used to do that Forex. Somebody said Indian budget 2018 update. Thanks for the Indian budget 2018 update. We really needed that, brother. So VIP access. So for anybody that are VIP emeralds and diamonds, you guys do have the ability to request your coin. Let's go ahead and ask, and then we'll do the Tron review here. Any requests for our live stream? So they get VIP. Let me just get this done here. Stream at Diamond at Emerald. Awesome. So let's go ahead and finish this analysis. So I expect this to finish its cup. Once that finishes, you'll see a handle form, and it goes right in line with this support level. And that's really why I called this, because when you draw out this support level, you can see that's been ongoing since this initial breakout. You can see this upward support has kind of been going there since December 13th, and now we're pretty much following that, finding a little bit of green here. So it looks like we're just now starting to find that midpoint. You can see here RSI went below 30, RSI started heading up, MACD fast line crossed here with the slow line. All levels, all indicators of a swing, or at least a trend reversal. It's not as strong as it could be. You can see that MACD is right here on the middle, and that means it's pretty much closely locked together. The MACD, by the way, is the moving average convergence divergence. So it's the convergence of the moving averages and how they diverge together, right? So it's the moving averages average, if that makes any sense. You've got the fast and the slow, and you'll want to set the fast at 12 and the slow at 26, by the way. So if you guys are setting up your trading view charts, that might help out. And then for those of you not understanding this, just stay tuned, watch a couple more of these and you'll understand more. So if this does end up forming correctly, you can see if this is the middle and it starts to go up, probably hit that third wave, hit that top. You can even just buy here, sell here if you want. And then most likely it's going to drop back down, form that handle, and then I can expect a breakout at that point, in my opinion, hitting that fourth wave, because it's right on that support level. And you'll definitely see that consolidation, because tons of people bought around this time and are now down, and they're going to want to sell. That's how patterns form, by the way. That's why cup and handles are what they are. That's why you have a breakout before the cup. There's also a rounding bottom. That's also another form of a round pattern. So if you guys go on our Trading 101, you can see here, if you go to a rounding bottom, it's the same exact thing, but it comes from a descent. It doesn't come from a breakout. And it's also a breakout pattern. So, you know, I can't believe I'm saying this, but pretty optimistic about Tron here in the next couple of days. I can expect volume to also increase, and we'll just have to go look at there. So let's go ahead and check the chat here. Any questions? Any questions here? Let's see if anybody has any good questions tonight. Somebody says, open your eyes, Mike Dando. Okay, let me open my eyes. Okay, they're opened. Somebody says, there's that alert bell again. Sorry about that. We just got to keep you guys up a little bit. It's a little bit late, right? I'll shut that off eventually. I do apologize. It's the first time live streaming with a couple platforms that I've never used before. So I'm still just getting used to it, just to be quite frank. But I'm excited to have all these platforms on right now. I mean, this is awesome. So MFA Livestock on Twitch said, if Justin Sun streams again, he's going to kill the gains. Oh, man. I can't wait to see what type of viewers our Twitch brings. Wave 3 can't be lower than Wave 1. Well, you can actually draw this a little bit higher, to be honest with you. This was not a perfect draw out, but Wave 1 was drawn out a little bit high. But if you were to actually draw the wave at the candlestick, you can see it's still lower. So that's how that works. I haven't taught waves yet. Somebody says VEN VeChain. There's that alert bell again. Yes. Let's go ahead and look at VeChain. I think that's a good call because we do have that here. Let's go ahead and do VEN BTC really quick and see what's popping here. Let's go ahead and clear this out and do an open graph here and see what's going on. So looking at VeChain, we're going to be using a different indicator here, being the fact that we're on this upward trend. And what I want to use is the auto fib as well as the 3 moving averages, the RSI, and we'll also use the volume indicator here. You can see here how we broke this support here along this top Fibonacci line, now finding a little bit of a channel forming here. Looking at the 1-day chart, we're right on that 100-day moving average right now with VeChain. You can see how we're following right alongside that, and we're definitely in this upward trend here overall. Now, if we were to actually add the RSI and the MACD here, this is going to be a pretty interesting move here. Let's go ahead and add this down together. Now, looking at this chart, what I'll tell you is the one thing I like about VeChain right now is you don't see too much parabolic run-ups. It's pretty much gradually going up, seeing some healthy corrections, going up, seeing some healthy corrections. And if you look here, there's a pretty clear bull flag forming here. If you pull up the 1 day, you can probably get a better view of that. You can see that bull flag here. And now we're seeing that upward trend. If you were to draw support lines, you can see how we have this ascending support line here, pretty much riding its way up. And then you can see how this wedge forms outwards. There's an outward expression here, which means that it's the opposite of a converging wedge. And when you look at this chart, you can see how we continuously go up. It came from a really narrow channel and starting to kind of split and go wide, which is a bullish trend, right? When that starts to go, when it opens up like that, it's a bullish trend, especially when it forms a bull flag where you see this consolidation, but it bounces right off of that support line as it's ascending. Now, being the fact that it didn't break this, that's why, in my opinion, I think there's going to be at least one more run up heading up, bouncing back on top of this ascending resistance line. And I think it's going to be higher than this, so we'll most likely see another all-time high here for VeChain. And all it's going to take is a little bit of an extra volume push. You can see even right here, RSI has really stayed above 50 for the most part. Actually, if you go back here, you can see RSI has stayed above 50 since November 30th, which is interesting on the 1 day chart. But if you were to pull up the 3 hour, you can see we're definitely going in and out of that RSI. And RSI right now is a little bit low, so it's at a perfect point to eventually see that run up start to come into play. So in simple terms, in my opinion, VeChain is in a bullish trend. I think it's going to find support as it is along this Fibonacci line. It's going to break through this red again, and I think it's going to start to find another high here. If we pull up the 1 day once again, you can see with the moving averages as well, based upon that 50-day, we're currently right about 65%ish, which is quite normal in this market. If you see here, we were pretty much 62% away once we were around that level. Actually going back from the back, it was 165. Yeah, well, yeah, if you consider the wicks, right around 150%. So definitely expecting this to see another little push up. And then we'll take another request here. Somebody says, all in BTC or what, champ? Billy the Kid said, hey Naeem, what's your thoughts on John S's theory about XRP being quarterly? So we had an individual come into our chat once named John, and he talked about the financial institutions having their quarterly reports and that affecting Ripple's price on a quarterly basis. To be honest with you, I looked at XRP's price after that, after he'd mentioned that, and from what I could tell, you know, there were certain points in time where Ripple did see initial run-ups, but for the most part, it didn't really follow the trend exactly how he had mentioned it was. There was, you know, almost looks like there is, because you see there's a quarter, bam, another quarter, and then it goes back up. But I just don't think that necessarily, like, I feel like to comment on that would be a little bit vague, because you just don't know. It's almost like the Tether controversy. I don't know if you guys know this, but I do want to address this Tether issue. I mean, there was this article that I saw today, which is important. This was actually submitted by one of our mods, EQ. It says, worries grow that the price of Bitcoin is being propped up. And it's really talking about the Bitfinex and Tether controversy, on how Bitfinex is really acting sketchy now, alongside with Tether, as you know, Tether dissolved its relationship with its auditing firm. And the speculation is pretty much that Tether is, you know, bringing up the price of Bitcoin, and Bitfinex is behind it, and they're really just buying Bitcoin, driving the price up. In my opinion, you know, there's definitely a possibility of stuff like that happening in this market, you know, especially when companies dissolve relationships with auditing firms. I mean, that's never a good thing, right? There's never a good reason to dissolve a relationship with any auditing firm, especially when you're making billions of dollars, millions of dollars, and it's not about the money, right? So it's more so about what are you doing, right? It's typically because you're doing something wrong that you want to dissolve a relationship. So very big controversy. And my opinion on that is you just got to be careful in this market. No matter what, you got to know that you only can invest what you're willing to lose. And I know you hear that a lot, but it's just the truth. You know, like, you don't want to be the guy that says, hey, I lost all my money in Bitcoin one day because I put all my money in and then it crashed, right? Not saying that's going to happen, but just be careful in this market, right? I mean, especially if you're using Tether, I would hedge in a different fashion. You know, maybe hedge on Gemini like I do, where you can liquidate to fiat currency the way you want to. So hopefully that helps in some way, shape, or form. Let's go ahead and take some user requests here. Somebody said, what do you think about NEO? Should I buy now? You guys want to look at NEO? Let's go ahead and pull up NEO here. NEO BTC. Let's do NEO BTC. Let's see here what we've got. Somebody said Naeem T Deal. Somebody says, what do you think about Bitfinex having enough money to cover any Tether loss? Stacy O'Neill. I don't think they would want to use their own money to cover losses like that. You know, what do you think of BitConnect having enough money to cover their losses? Like, that's kind of the question I see there. Somebody says, what do you think about Litecoin? Martin DeHaas. I think Litecoin is interesting in the fact that, you know, Charlie Lee mentioned a possible Monero partnership with Litecoin, and Monero is one of my favorite privacy coins. It's always been. You know, I'm also looking at other privacy coins that can potentially get on my list because I like the concept of having a privacy coin. Because think about it. You know, if you send anybody a Bitcoin transaction, right, and they have your public key, they can look up your wallet and see exactly how much Bitcoin you're holding. So it's called a rich list, by the way. So if you type in the Bitcoin rich list, you pretty much have no transparency when you're holding Bitcoin. So for that to be a currency in the future, the fact that you could just kind of go on a website and say, okay, well, this is your public key. You have $820 million in your account. I don't know if that's something that people would want to, I don't think that's public information that people would want to have out there. And Monero solves that issue, right? They have a private ledger. There is no rich list. It's funny, you type in Monero rich list, and I don't know if you guys know this, but you pull it up and it's almost like an ad for them, right? Like, Monero is fundamentally private, and it kind of has like its little stir up here and its twist to it. But yeah, you can look up any Bitcoin public key and just kind of go in and see really where the money is at. Isn't that kind of crazy? Look at this. All these wallets have 102,607,877,000 or $877. All of these have very similar prices there. Nick Smedley added me as a friend on Snapchat. Thank you, Nick. New friend on Snapchat. Interesting. Out of every platform. I post on Snapchat every now and then, but really Twitter is where it's at. So let's take some requests. Let's look at NEO BTC. Let's answer a couple questions though. Kind of tired of these charts. Let's pop a LaCroix here. Get a little bit schmoozy. Somebody said, what's up with Ripple, man? You see it dropping? I am not too bullish on Ripple right now, just to be frank with you. And that's another technical analysis that we would have to do. But let's look at the chats. What do we got here? Somebody says, we'll look at NEO, by the way, Ice Raven, just a sec. Somebody says, just subscribe, brother. What's up with Ripple? Do you see it dropping further? David Gonzalez. Thanks for the new subscribe. Billy the Kid said, thanks you so much for taking on my question. I'm now going to join his Patreon. Go Naeem. Thank you, Billy the Kid 390. Appreciate that, bro. JMA said, what a baller. Somebody said, sup, YouTubers. Hey, champ, what do you think about BTC short? Half a singe. The fact that, if you guys don't know the shorts, the BTC shorts, so when you're shorting a position, you're pretty much betting on it that it's going down, right? A long is betting that something is going up. And people are shorting Bitcoin, pretty much saying that they're betting against it. And when you're betting against Bitcoin, for example, you're seeing this. I'm going to put in a futures contract, right? And that futures contract says Bitcoin's going to be at $9,000 by the end of January. And if it hits 9,000, your futures contract is settled and you pretty much get profits. Long contract, the futures contract that's long, says, oh, Bitcoin's going to be at 10,900 by the end of January. And if it's 10,900, then there you go. You've got your contract fulfilled. Somebody says, yes, Xenion, that is a fundamental rule for sure. So when you're drawing Elliott waves, your waves, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5, there's certain rules that apply where there's certain waves that can't be higher than other waves because that's what the waves are for. It's drawing a trend line. The waves I had drawn out, to be honest with you, they were drawn out on the 1-day chart, and because of that, they weren't as pinpointed on Tron. So if we pull up the TRX BTC chart, you can see here, let's pull it up again. This wasn't as pinpointed here because I was drawing it, but if you were to draw this here, you can see the first wave here would be drawn out like this. Here, I'll actually draw this out a little bit more accurately if you guys want. So if I were to actually draw this out, let me pull up the 15-minute really quick. So this is how you're supposed to draw waves. You're supposed to actually go to these support and resistance lines. So I would draw this one out just like this. We'll get this pinpointed accurately. And then we'll do the 45-minute. And you want that right along those lines. So then that's the third wave goes higher than the first wave. And then this goes right alongside with this. So here's the exact drawing for those perfectionists. Let's make sure that second wave is right. So yeah, so you see this was an accurate, like, exactly, but it was just the concept, right? It was the I guess that's kind of like my sanguine side. And then this fifth wave was supposed to be right on top here. So the fifth wave is drawn out right on top. Let me just make sure this is correct. So that's exact drawn. There you go. You happy, Xenon? Hopefully that zeroed out a little bit better. But pretty much with the waves, you're going by the end of the candlesticks. You have to go to the end of the candlesticks. That's why it's good to look at the 15-minute charts. I like to look at 15-minute charts when drawing my waves because you get a really accurate depiction of it. If you guys don't know how candlesticks works, you have wicks and then you also have the body of the candle. So the body of the candle, as you can see, is that solid part, and the wicks is this part. So you can even get more accurate on the 15-minute and really delve into these points. But sometimes I just kind of draw them out because the point is it's following a trend and it's following a pattern, right? That's what waves are for. There's breakout waves and there's you know, reversal waves. So there's a lot of different types. Somebody said, I'm gonna start my own show. Go ahead, man. Somebody says, no, but for real, if Justin Sun does another stream from his phone with a t-shirt, I'm gonna kill TRX's price. Thank you, Cypress. That actually helped me understand Elliott's quite a bit better, actually. That's awesome, man. I'm glad. How do I join Discord? Discord is going to be on the description below. So for those of you that are not on our Discord, we do have our Discord available. It's a free resource, and I highly recommend all of you guys get on there. We have all of these waves. Xenon, this would actually help you a lot, man, on Twitch, because if you're just now getting into patterns and stuff, there's tons of different resources here that it's all free, and you can just kind of go in here and learn a lot. But the most important aspect of our Discord is the community aspect. So, you know, you can go into one of these live chats and you've got the whole community just kind of going in there chatting and you know, going through things.
I'm telling you, look, we're literally about to cross right now.
Look at that. We're crossing what, right? That's the big question. So highly recommend that. And let's take some more questions. George says, how do I get you to talk about REVEN? I don't know. You ask, but REVEN is probably a smaller cap coin, right? Isn't it under $1 billion? Let's pull up REVEN really quick. Yeah, it's 298 million. I would say with these smaller cap coins, it's not as effective to do technical analysis with them because of their market cap and where they're at and how susceptible they are. And this wouldn't even pull up on TradingView. I would have to open up KuCoin. So you know, I try to avoid that for these type of live streams. But you know, if we do more like a one-on-one or something, we can definitely look at stuff like that. Somebody says the Discord link is expired. No, it's not, is it? Interesting. It shouldn't be. Oh, wow. You're right. It is. I'm going to have to change that. Sorry about that. Thank you for mentioning that. I will have to change the Discord link really quick for you guys. And I do apologize here. Let me go ahead and alternate that for you. I'll post that here on the chats for all the different platforms that we're on. So that's our Discord link. Sorry about that. You're very welcome, L2 Crypto. You're very welcome. Somebody says one-on-one sounds interesting. That teaser though, what are we crossing, boys? Kodo. Yeah, boys, what are we crossing? Somebody said Spank Chain FA Plox. Mohammed, what's up, bro? I really appreciate what you are doing. It's really helpful. Just a little thing you always do. You don't focus on each coin. I think you get overwhelmed with the chat. All the best. Thank you, man. I probably do. I mean, I can't deny that one. Now I'm overwhelmed that the link is broken because that's not good. But I posted on the chat, so hopefully those of you that need to get on can get on. And I'm going to go ahead and change it here as well. That's kind of annoying. So that means I have to update every link on all of my videos. This is where you go on jobs.ph and hire somebody. So let's kind of transition here. See if there's any other good questions. Somebody said, I got the concept name. Anyone who knows waves, some will know it was not specific, but you get what you were giving the concept, and to be specific, you would need a whole video really focusing on waves in depth. Yes, Danielle, you're right. Thank you. Somebody says, Referium, bro. What's all that about? Somebody says, LTC. How do I post questions to him? Sumit. Just post it. Oh my gosh. Now Justin has another wave theory. Your Elliott wave breaks a rule. 0.4 can't enter a price range of the one wave. Is your wave an exception? This is a horizontal pattern. So it's not an ascending Elliott wave. So there's many different types, guys. There's A, B, C, D waves. That's really what you'll focus on if you can look here. You can actually pull up all the different waves. So there's a lot of different Elliott waves. Impulse, triangle, triple combo wave, correction waves, double combo wave. And all of them follow different rules. So make sure you understand every rule. But a universal rule is what he talked about, where the 1 and the 3 and also the 5 can't intercept or be lower. They also have head and shoulders. If you guys don't know, you can actually draw out head and shoulders like that. Put the head, right shoulder. So that's also a cool indicator if you guys don't know how to use that. I'm going to update all of these links soon. Let's go ahead and finish up some requests here. Somebody says, let's see. What is the ticker on that one? Hold on, let me make sure this is right. Vibe. Let's go ahead and do Vibe. Vibe BTC. So looking at Vibe, we slid away from the cup and handle that never ended up executing. If you guys look here, let's go ahead and clear this graph up a little bit and redraw all of this. Nothing bad in my opinion, being the fact that if we pull up the 1-day chart, you can see we're pretty much heading down to these levels where we found previous support, where we typically bounce back from. So if we were to actually draw this out here in support, right around 5,525 Satoshis, you can see here as this starts to descend, it's forming a descending triangle. But in my opinion, Vibe is a little bit too early of a coin, just released on the exchange, to form a triangle like this. But it's definitely what's forming out here. If you guys know how a descending triangle is formed, pretty much has descending resistance lines and a horizontal support line. So if you pull up our Discord link here, you can see there's that descending resistance with that horizontal support, and that breakout typically occurs down there. Now with this coin, if it does end up breaking downwards, the issue with that is it doesn't have much room to go, right? Because this is really where the all-time low is, and if it does end up breaking that, that would be you know, interesting. I mean, there's not really going to be any sort of support levels after that. So if you draw out the auto fib, you can see none of that's going to draw unless we do like a 6 hour. Let's do maybe we do a 1 hour. Yeah, you can see we're in the lower levels here. It's just too early of a chart to do so much technicals with. But I would say just watch this chart, watch these support levels, being that there's only one real support level here, which is 5,389 Satoshis. And if it starts to test these support levels once again and gets more and more narrow, then you can expect something to happen in terms of a reversal. But if, and hopefully it continues to form along this horizontal line, there could be a potential of another breakout if the volume starts to increase, because you can see this kind of happened because the volume just kind of let loose. Now you had that one little buy peak here, but nothing after that. A little bit here, you can see a little bit of price movements, but for the most part, volume is still pretty low. And I think it's because it's such a low cap coin. Like you pull up Vibe, you see here, we're only at 123 million. It's very early on the coin. And you can see how we had this parabolic run up at one point in Satoshi valuations. And I would say just give it a little bit of time, you know. It just got listed on this exchange, so it was able to see a pretty high amount of volume once it was on Binance. So let's go ahead and do our next request here, and then we're going to start heading over to our Ruby Night Owl soon. So I do want to get over there as soon as possible so we don't have a crazy long night. Pretty much if we look at the time right now, 12:32, we'll probably be up until 1 a.m. But we're going to be under Patreon exclusive under Ruby Plus. So for those of you that are Rubies and above, everybody under Ruby Plus. So let's go ahead and finish up these requests. Somebody says, what do you think about Neo? Should I buy it now? Let's finish the Neo request here. So looking at Neo, let's go ahead and clear this all out really quick. Pull up the 1 day. So there's a clear bull flag here. This is kind of what's happening right now with VeChain. You saw that bull flag earlier. Let's pull up the auto fib here as well. We'll have that MACD open too. Looking at this chart, we're looking like a little bit further away from that 50-day than I'd want to be. 50% now. Where when we dropped down, we were around 18%, which is a little bit of a better area here for Neo. But it could quite certainly form another bull flag. What I would watch for is this EMA. It looks like it's bouncing off this EMA every time it goes up. You can see it bounces off the EMA, and it's really been bouncing off this EMA ever since these price levels. You can see bounce here, it bounced right over here, bounced right over here, and then it bounced right over there. So my guess would be if this bounces off the EMA once again, you can see that upward momentum kind of start to push it back up. Then in a technical standpoint, that would be a good price point to get a quick position in and possibly hit that swing trade if possible. And I'd say that would probably be the safest bet with a coin like this and where the price levels are at. And that would also be a great indicator of a bull flag forming. So a bull flag is pretty much where you have these green candlesticks running up, and then you see a short momentum break with red candlesticks, and then it's a flag, right? It's like a flag right here. That's where that name comes from. So that's what I would say for Neo, in my opinion, is use the EMA at this point, because that's all you really have. Now, don't be too worried about this RSI being so high right now, being the fact that the volume is starting to kind of come up. you can see the volume was really low back here, and now you're seeing some volume starting to rise. If we were to actually pull up the Neo BTC on Bittrex, you can see a little bit of a longer standpoint there, bouncing off of that Fibonacci as well. It really follows Fibonacci pretty clearly. Look at that. Found a little bit of resistance and support. Found clear support on Fibonacci. Support here. Dropped down. Found support there. As soon as we crossed into the red, went back up. Found resistance. Found a little bit of resistance and support there. That wasn't in the Fibonacci. That was the one time it didn't. And then you see as we went back up, now we bounced back on that Fibonacci. So Fibonacci has been acting pretty good for Neo in my opinion. And then at this point, I would use the EMA to really follow its price zone at these really, you know, all-time highs at this point for Neo. You know, if you look here, this Wix only reached, looks like 1.39 million Satoshis. And right now, this Wix reached 1.49 million Satoshis. So we're definitely in that upward price movement. This is actually a pretty nice formation. Yeah. You could have easily have seen this triple bottom here and then this run up. Very nice run up. So let's go ahead and pull out somebody says name. I would join your Ruby Patreon. However, all my money is tied up in Verge because I am bought in at 1.1299 and I'm hodling until it goes back up. Can I pay you an XVG? Tell McAfee to repump it. Man, be careful with pump and dumps, guys. Don't get yourself into those. Those will eat you up. Somebody says Korea's going to open a new coin market in February that is much bigger than Upbit, the top Korean coin market so far. ICX will be listed there. What do you think of the potential of ICX? I think ICX is on a reversal trend, just to be honest with you. Looking at ICX's chart today, I was doing some technicals and I was looking to get a position on this, and in my opinion, it broke through this resistance and it's going to go on a downward trend, or the support. So as soon as I saw that break, you know, that for me was an indicator that we're going to most likely see prices start to go down from there. It was on this ascending channel for a little bit, and then now you can see it's broken. It's broken away from that. So once again, if you actually pull up our trading view chart, you guys can actually go here to our tool section under trading 101, and if you look at this flag right here, so this is a flag that's descending with a descending support level, and this is a flag with an ascending support level. So you just kind of invert that, and this turns into a reversal pattern, while this right here is a breakout pattern. So that's the differences here, and in my opinion, it broke through that, and we're going to start seeing some sort of reversal. It may start to correct down, find a little bit of support right over here where we found a little bit of resistance, but then I think it may end up going back here, maybe where previous resistance levels were. And then if you also pull up this 3-hour chart, you can see it broke through this Fibonacci. It's going to see a little bit of upside here, but as soon as this Fibonacci broke, it was on its way down. If it goes into that green zone, it's most likely going to start heading back down. And then you can see this line that we drew out, which corresponds to where it found previous resistance, where right along these levels, it's pretty much exactly where this green Fibonacci lies. So in my opinion, this is going to start dropping down, and at that point we're most likely going to see negative price levels. It doesn't look like a bullish pattern to me, especially with these ascending support levels. You have to be careful with those. Those could really fool people. So hopefully that helps out a little bit. Somebody said, can you do a, what is that? EOS. Yes, we can do EOS. Let's do EOS BTC. See what's happening here. So EOS was actually following an uptrend for a little bit. Now we're starting to see a little bit of a downward price movement. Let's remove all drawing tools here and take this Fibonacci out of the way. So looking here, we bounced off this 100-day, broke 100-day moving average. That's not a good sign, especially when RSI is this low. That's not good. You can see we bounced on the 100, bounced on the 100, broke through the 100. So first time we've broken through the 100 where we've bounced off of it in the meantime. And this was a pretty strong break. So you can see this is really where that break occurred, and it was really with this huge red push, and that brought it down. So in my opinion, kind of like what we saw here when we broke through this 100-day, we ended up bouncing on the 200-day, kind of like similar to what Bitcoin was doing. You can see how we bounce off that 200-day quite often. It's an emergency support level in my opinion. So I think with EOS, at least in the short term, we're most likely going to bounce off of this 200-day as this price starts to decline. That also is pretty much around these levels. You can see, wow, look at that. Almost formed a head and shoulder, but this right shoulder was a little bit high. So this is a clear indicator of a potential breakout there. And this really all occurred here at this resistance. So here's also something else to note about NEO. When you guys see this happen quite often, where it tests resistance levels more than 3 times, it's typically a sign of a reversal. It's called a triple top. So you can see how we tested it once, twice, 3rd time, and now we're starting to decline. And that right there is a clear indicator of you know, these price levels being overbought, and because of that, it's just not able to push through that, especially where you see this huge red dip. This is where the cup and handle was initially going to form, and you can see how it did go back up to form that handle, and then as soon as it went to form that handle and it tried to push back up, the resistance was just too strong there. So hopefully that helps out in some way. Somebody said 88 Cardano. Let's do 88 Cardano. So Cardano just broke here. So it was forming a descending triangle here. Let's sharpen this up, or our Twitch fans are going to get mad. So you can see we're forming a descending triangle where you have these solid levels here, and we're still continuously going down. If you guys know how a descending triangle look, once again, it's one of the easiest patterns. I like to repeat this one because it helps the newer people. But descending triangle has a descending resistance line with a horizontal support line with that reversal trend. So it's not looking too good, especially because it's under that 100-day moving average right there. But if you pull up the 1 day, it's probably nowhere near that. So we're just now heading towards that 50-day. So this is an interesting graph. In my opinion, what will end up happening is this 50-day will start to kind of catch up here, and this will catch up with it. And at that point, we may see a little bit of some positive upside here for EOS, but you can see pattern was pretty much broken right here, where this red candlestick overstretched down, and that was the indicator of that reversal. So I think it may start to find a little bit of support there, but understand that these price levels are still fairly high for EOS. They just now recently run up to these highs. So just like we saw with Tron, it did something very similar when it saw its consolidation. Some people hate looking at the Tron chart, but when it went up, it dropped down, bounced off that 50-day, bounced back up, and then bounced back down to that 50-day. And now it has that potential to have that initial run up now. So we'll have to see where that starts to head. So let's go ahead and take some questions, guys. Sometimes these charts get to you. Somebody said, what the heck? That's not good. Let's go ahead and see. We got a couple super chats, it looks like. Let's refresh that. Barsman said, I feel like I have a good grasp of all the basics and more intermediate techniques. Are there any books that you would recommend for advanced trading? Thanks in advance. If you've never read a book about trading, I would recommend All About Candlesticks here. So if you go to Helpful Reads, All About Candlestick Charting, great book even for intermediate and advanced traders. Especially if you haven't read a book about trading yet. Principles by Ray Dalio is probably the best book in my opinion about trading, because it really goes into the psychological aspect, it goes into his story, it goes into the personal development side, and then it goes into the technicals. And he ran one of the largest hedge funds in the world, 175 billion in assets, so highly recommend it. Somebody said, how do I get into the Night Owl? We'll show you right now. The Night Owl is going to be in our Ruby and Above chat here. So we're going to be doing an ICO mastermind tonight. For all of you guys that want to tune in afterwards, we do a little bit of an after party here. I'm going to post the Discord link in the chat here. It's a private link, and you guys can actually join in our Discord. For those of you that are Rubies and Above, all Rubies and Above, you have to be a Patreon Ruby and Above. you guys can actually join in under the Ruby Plus area. You can see we're starting to get more people here. Rebel K, Stacito, Holdfast, Philly Ren, Crypto Line, all already there, early birds. And we're going to go in and discuss ICOs tonight, looking at long-term holds. So we're going to be heading over there soon. And then for those of you that aren't rubies and above, you guys can actually chat here in the normal chat room here. We got over 99 people here right now, just having a blast. So I look forward to seeing some of you guys there tonight. Let's go ahead and look at Qtum and Dragon. Somebody said, say to the people everything is okay, Stellar to the moon. Somebody said. That's funny, Adrian. Let's do Qtum real quick, see if it's forming what it's doing here. Let's go ahead and clear this out a little bit. All right. Qtum, interesting. Let's actually do the Bittrex chart here. Okay, so interesting graph. Wow, it's actually very interesting because you can see how it goes from a narrow and then it kind of pumps its way out. Typically what happens when this happens is when it goes like that, it typically follows. So that typically ends up happening when it does that. That's a very awkward pattern that doesn't typically happen, where it goes narrow and then it expands and then it contracts. That's kind of like a known pattern, right? So this is an interesting one, especially because you can see it's seen some highs in the past. I would definitely draw this out right here. You can see how it hit resistance right around 499,295 satoshis. Now it's starting to kind of mesh its way out. In terms of a cup and handle, I think this is a little bit sharp here to be a cup and handle. What you really want to see in a cup and handle, I'll go ahead and show you right now. If you're on our Discord and you go to Trading 101, you can see here with the cup and handle, you want that curve, right? Without that curve, it's hard to determine whether or not or if it's a cup and handle, right? So even if you were to write down cup and handle in Google, you can see you're looking for that curve, not these crazy run-ups, right? You want that curve, right? So that's really the essence of a cup, and how they're formed, and even a rounding bottom. So you can see here, a cup and handle, you've got that clear curve here. So I would be looking for a curve for a cup and handle, but this is an interesting pattern where it contracts like that. That's a bullish pattern. In my opinion, the way I'd play this is I would draw these two ascending support lines, because there are two. There's one that's in the contraction and there's one on the expansion. So this is the first one. You can see this right here is a contracted support or resistance line. Right over here, this is the contracted one. Then you can also draw a second support right over down there. This one is a little bit of a different type of support line. This is a little bit more angled. I wouldn't draw that one out then. I would leave it at that, and then I would draw these out. Since the wicks went up like that, it kind of gives you the room to draw these channels higher. So you can see this is obviously ascending here, and the one thing I would notate here is if this starts to contract again, that would be a bearish sign. But if it opens up again like it's supposed to, that would be a very bullish sign here that we're going to possibly test these resistance levels. If we test these resistance levels, then we're most likely going to see some higher highs from where we're at here. It doesn't look like it's an all-time high because it looks like this price dropped from very high levels here. So that's the thing with Qtum. If you guys know how Qtum went as it kind of had its initial offering, I just typed in Qtum BTC on CoinMarketCap. So if you do Qtum here, you can see how if you go on the all-time chart, at one point we were at really high prices here, right around 692,000 satoshis, whereas right now we're hovering right around 390,000. So it does have that room to grow, and it looks like since we saw this volume push it's seen these higher price levels and has maintained them quite well, especially its Satoshi value, which is always good. So I would say allow this to follow its uptrend, and I think this is definitely a bullish trend here, which is awesome. So hopefully that helps out a little bit. Somebody says, God, please bring back Whitney Houston and take Kanye, and as a bonus you can have Kim Kardashian. That doesn't make sense. David Gonzalez says, dudes. Somebody says BTC is tightening. The Hardlinator said, why aren't you analyzing BTC right now? It's plummeting. Well, you can't appease everyone, the Hardlinator. So sorry that I don't got 7 arms here and 7 computer screens. But I mean, there's no surprise that BTC is tanking. So I don't know why you want to look at Bitcoin's chart. I mean, this is old news, dude. This has been going on for a while now. You know, we all know here, if you guys have tuned into Sniper Suit, I can give you a little bit of grace, the Hardlinator, since you're new here. You know, this is the first time we're streaming on Twitch. Typically we're on YouTube. But if you guys know my prediction for Bitcoin, I'm looking at this range here right around 87, 8,900, right around that 100-day moving average. If you guys can't see it, I'll kind of change the color here so that you guys have a better perspective. But I'm looking at this 100-day moving average as the drop price here. So we can even increase this a little bit, because that's going to continue to increase as we keep these higher levels, which we are. So that's really my expectation for Bitcoin. I think we're going to head right back down, bounce off of that 200-day. And at that 200-day is really where we'll see that support and that bottom, in my opinion. And you can see that matches right on with that RSI on that 1-day chart. So somebody says, how do I join the Night Owl? The Hardliner says, just curious to know your thoughts. There you go, bro. Can you turn on your AC unit? What do you mean? Somebody says, good morning, Naeem. You're very welcome, Harlinator. Somebody says, what do you mean turn on an AC unit? Do you guys hear my computer? Is it like loud or something? Somebody says, but let me show you Justin Sun's Tron chart again. That's funny. So for all rubies and above, we're going to be heading over to our Ruby and above Night Owl here. You can see we already got a couple people here. We're going to be doing a Ruby and above ICO mastermind. The reason I want to do rubies and above is because I don't want to stay up all night going over ICOs, but I do want to talk about some, you know. It's really where a lot of the money is at right now. I just came back from a conference with the co-founder of Monero and the chairman of Kodak, and a lot of the talk in that conference was about ICOs and getting in on the pre-ICOs to really make those large substantial gains compared to how they were several weeks back. So let's see if we have any VIP access. Nope, we're good. So I guess we'll start heading over to our Night Owl, guys. Somebody says, send me the money, I'll send you the info. You might be getting sick, bro. Get some rest. No, I'm doing fine, man. I'm sweaty. I'm not sweaty. I feel good. Somebody says, what is the cloud indicator pattern you're using in your graphs? How do you determine the buy zone and the sell zone in it? Could you do that in Coinigy? I'm not sure. I haven't used Coinigy Summit. We'll have to see. Somebody says, you're sweating bullets, dude. No, I'm not. I'm not sweating. Maybe I'm a shiny guy. I'm known to be shiny. Look, I am all good to go. Somebody said, that is hilarious. You sound stuffy. I might be getting sick, right? All right, guys. I'm going to start heading over to this Night Owl. We're going to get this thing rolling. So for all rubies and above, love to see you guys there. Also post the, somebody says beauty YouTuber. I'm going to post the Discord link there. If you guys are not rubies, just join in on the voice chat if you guys want to get a little bit more info here tonight. But thank you guys for watching our first multi-platform live stream. I want to thank all of you guys for just supporting the channel. We just hit over 23,000 members on Discord, over 39 or 38,000 subscribers on YouTube. So definitely appreciative of that. And I can't wait to talk to a lot of you guys more often during these Night Owls and these live streams. So I'm going to say some shout outs here. Take care, Stellar. Take care, L2 Crypto. Jesus Saves Repent Today. K-Raj, Abraham, David Gonzalez in the house, Jay Bullfrog, Fatal Fury, Amid, Josh, Yasmin. Thank you, Yasmin. Appreciate that. Josh B said, you're the best. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that, guys. I might be getting a little bit sick. Hopefully not, but I might be feeling a little bit. I don't like ever saying I'm sick because you never want to speak that, right? Speak positive over yourself. So thank you, guys. Misha, thank you, Matt, for tuning in tonight. You guys are awesome, and we will keep you guys updated. Tomorrow we'll have some awesome videos, a lot of new things to come, and I'll see some of you guys on Discord tonight. But for our first multi-platform live stream, it was a success. And I can't wait to do more of these, building the community on Twitch, building the community on Twitter, building the community on Facebook, building the community on YouTube, and growing the community here at Snipers, bringing more snipers to the plate, getting a lot of you guys equipped and knowledgeable, and enabling you guys to have the wisdom you need to trade this market and get your gains. So with that being said, guys, Snipers out.